Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. Grab yourself a cup of whatever you drink and let's talk about something very important in the preparedness area of your life, and that is the danger of global depression. All right. Now, if you've tuned in and you're a regular viewer, you'll say, "Well, Steve, now you don't usually talk about negative stuff like that." And if you're a new viewer, you say, "Well, yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're talking about what everybody else is talking about, right?" But I'm going to give you a different viewpoint on this because it's important. Uh, I I I ran upon a video yesterday. And by the way, welcome to all the new people. It's good to have you here. And welcome to everybody, all the new people over on our Patreon channel. I wanted to say that too, because I have forgotten to say that lately, but we have a lot of fine people joining us on our Patreon channel, and it's great to have you. And if you're not with us, we'd love to have you, and the link's right down below if you'd like to join us. A lot of good stuff over there. Uh, so I happened to pass upon a video yesterday that said global depression by 2025. And I thought, well, we're already in 2025. What's going on here? Let me check and see what they're saying and whether it's true or not. Because check checking the information that you hear is very important, right? Trust but verify. Matter of fact, don't even trust. I don't trust anything that I hear until I verify, unless I know the source of it, and I know the background of the source, and I know the motive of the source. And those things are all important. So I watched it, and it turned out that it was a video from a year ago. I'm not sure why it popped up on my feed, maybe to make me talk about this today. But are you crooked there? I don't know. But it was from a year ago, and this channel was talking about a video that they had seen from somebody else that was even farther back than that. Okay, and they were assuring everyone that there was going to be a global depression by 2025. Now, by 2025 means that it should have happened now, right? By now, because by means that. Okay, it doesn't mean in 2025, it means by 2025. And I said, well, we're not in a global depression. And as I looked at it, I said, okay, this channel, it does promote this constant things are bad, things are horrible, things, and I know that appeals to so many people in the preparedness world, and that's the danger that I want to talk about. And so when I got, matter of fact, I came into the office here and I put it up and hit the feed on YouTube, and sure enough, the first thing that I hear is first thing that I read is the headlines of a channel saying from today, saying something, time, get ready for hard times. Hard times are ahead. Your money isn't going to be worth anything, or something like that. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I give Uncle Steve's uh, hard advice, tough love advice. I'm going to tell you the truth, and the truth will set you free, as the greatest man who ever lived said, and God. And too many people are floundering in untruths, and it is affecting them negatively. Okay. Now let me come out with the brutal truth here to begin with. For those of you, it's going to disappoint a lot of people out there. No, we are not in a global depression. Regardless of how many people have been touting this, promising this, threatening this, warning about this, there have always been those who try to promote depression. And you know what, whether it's economic depression or whatever like that, you know what that results is? It results in personal depression. It does. Because when I read so many comments out there, and you've heard me say this many times before, the thing that upsets me so much in the prepper world is this constant drivel of how things are horrible. You can't do anything about it. You're the victim. And I said this before, I've never seen a group of people who tout themselves as so self-reliant, but who also uh, seem to enjoy this idea that they're victims as a great, not everybody in the preparedness world, certainly the people who normally watch this channel, they're not like that. If, as a matter of fact, if you read the comments on my videos, you'll see a stark difference between the comments there and the comments on other channels. The people who are with us here, and if you're new, welcome. I hope that you join the positive band here. But so many people in the prepper world are led down this wrong path of everything's horrible, gonna be horrible, it's gonna get worse, blah blah blah. And there are reasons for that. I'm not going to go into the psychology behind it. I've gone into that before. Let me give you the lesson here. Whether the world is or will be or will ever be again in a global depression doesn't matter. That's right, it does. Well, Steve, how in the world can it not matter? Because if the whole world's in a depression, it's going to ruin me and kill my dog and everything else, right? Well, it depends on you. It depends on you. And see, that's what it comes down to. And that's what preparedness is really about. It comes down to you. Whether the whole world is in a global depression, it's up to you as to whether you are or not. Seriously. Here's the danger of these people who are consistently promoting this idea of financial collapse and recession and depression and all that. Maybe they are. And, I have a tendency to think that they might be. And they're promoting that message because things aren't going very well for them. And, you're familiar with the old saying, misery loves company, right? When somebody's having a hard time, not everybody, I mean, good people aren't like this, but when a weak person is having a hard time, they want to talk about their problems. They want to complain in hopes that other people will, number one, commiserate with them, right? And go, oh, you poor dear. Oh, that's so terrible. Oh, I'm so sorry for you. Or who will come back and say, I know it. Things are horrible. Things are terrible. It's bad for me too. And now the first person, who's feeling bad feels better because somebody else feels bad. You understand what's going on there, right? You don't have to be a psychology PhD to understand human nature. And that's the human nature of a person who's not responsible for their own life. And that's what preparedness is supposed to be. On integrative preparedness, we preach separating yourself completely, or to the extent that you can, from those external systems over which you have little or no control. And most people, when we talk about, food, water, power, defense, shelter, things like that, and those are the basic things that most preparedness people, think about. But I'll tell you what, there's another system, external system, over which you have little or no control, and that is this constant negativity that is driven by a certain segment of people in our world, many of whom are in the preparedness world, sadly to say. I don't really think they're in the preparedness world. I'll be honest with you there. I think they're in the complaining world, because if they were in the preparedness world, they would actually be doing something positive. And you know what? You know what happens to you when you do something positive? You stop complaining. You know why you stop complaining? Because you stop feeling bad. Because now you're doing something, right? You're doing something positive. And the brain can't hold two opposing ideas at the same time. And if you have positivity in you, you're not going to have any room for negativity. Simple as that. So that's the danger. What happens, and what I was saying, separating yourself from those external systems, that's a system. You need to separate yourself from all that negative bull that's coming your way, from people who want you to think that life is terrible, life is bad, the economy's crashing, there's a global depression coming by 2025, which we've seen. There's not, okay? There's not. And some people will say, oh, there is, because me and my neighbor Bob, we're not doing too good. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but that's the fault of you and your neighbor Bob. I'll tell you a couple of stories about my grandparents in a minute, growing up in the Depression. People love to talk about the Depression, right? But to finish this up, you need to separate yourself from that constant negative message machine and get yourself on board the positive train, right? Get yourself going. Take responsibility for what is happening in your life. Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about, the depression, and you have to learn how to live like we did in the depression, like they did in the depression. And, I heard stories from my grandparents about how horrible it was and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And the message too often is, well, times are horrible. You have to bring down how you live. You have to learn to do without. What in the world? What kind of a message is that? I mean, seriously, guys. Oh, I tell you, if I get wound up, this is one of the things that get wound up. I cannot stand a whiner. And I can't stand somebody who won't get up off their ass and do something about it and be positive and encourage other people to do it. Simple as that. Okay, so while all these people are talking about, well, my grandpa and grandma told me how hard things were, and you just need to go without and everything like that, I'm going to tell you a different story about both my grandparents' sides. Yeah, they did. They got hit by the depression, and cardboard in their shoes and everything like that. At first, one set of grandparents lost the business, the other lost all the work he was doing. But you know what? Did they just curl up in a little ball and go, "Oh, times are so hard. We'll someday write a song about this"? Mm-mm. My one set of grandparents, and some of you have heard this story before, but it bears repeating because people who are singing the blues about how tough times are need to hear it. And then I'm going to say something else about it, okay? All right, because that's the way I do things here. So one set of grandparents, they owned a music store and lost everything. And one of my grandfather's customers had not been able to pay his bills, and um, asked if my grandfather, the guy was a piano tuner, and asked my grandfather if he would accept his piano tuning tools in partial payment of the money he owed him. My granddad said, "Well, I'm not getting any money out of the guy, so okay, So he took that. Well, my grandparents were hit as hard as anybody else, okay? But my granddad, he could play the piano. He knew a lot about music, but he never tuned a piano. But he thought, I can probably figure it out. I know how a piano's supposed to sound, and here's the tuners, and I'll teach myself how to do it." And my grandmother, his wife, went through the Kansas City phone book, beginning at the very first A. She probably invented cold calling, and she called every number. She spent all day long calling every number, one after another, and she probably got 30 no's. And every time she would call them and say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. We wanted to let you know that we offer a piano tuning at a very reasonable price, if you'd be interested in that." See, back there, pretty much everybody had a piano in the house. That was the entertainment. And most people, they either didn't want it or couldn't afford it or whatever. And I'm sure she got 50 no's till she got the first yes, and probably 50 no's in between each yes. But she just kept going and going and going. I don't know how far through the phone book she got, but she got jobs, and my granddad would go out and tune pianos. Now the difference is that, see, the guy that he got the tools from could have done that, right? Could have done that, but instead he just says, "Oh, I can't pay my bills. Would you take my tools in payment?" But my grandparents took that and did something with it, and things got better and better and better. Okay, and they made it through the Depression. Good shape. My other grandfather lost everything. He's standing in one of those long lines. and men looking for jobs, and somebody came out, probably 100 men in the line, and a man came out and says, anybody here know how to skin a cow? And my grandfather thought, well, I know how to skin a deer, I know how to skin a squirrel, how much different could a cow be? So he raised his hand, got a job with Armor Beef Packing Company down in the West Bottoms of Kansas City. Well, I don't know if you all ever been in a stockyards and slaughterhouses, but you never forget the smell. Did, I think, 20 or 30 years in there. Did real well. His family ate steaks, but he also did other things. He picked up other side gigs. I'm not going to mention what those were. I write about some of them in my books. But he picked up other work. He went and got at it. While a whole lot of other men out in that line who had probably skinned a squirrel, probably said, no, I don't know how to skin a cow. Okay? The difference is in the individual. The whole world can go to pot, and whether you go to pot or not is totally up to you. Okay? I've told the story. I'll use a personal thing here. I've told the story about how my wife and I lost our jobs because we wouldn't take the poke. And they couldn't believe that we wouldn't take the poke because we had good jobs in a major hospital system. Good jobs, good pay, good bennies, good everything. And when they wanted us to take the poke, we said, no, not going to do that. They couldn't believe that we would refuse because they said, well, they're not going to give up these great jobs. No, we didn't. We didn't. We lost our jobs. And while a lot of people were just being ruined all over the country, losing their businesses, okay, we did not. Why? Because I already had established other income streams. Now see, here's again where the good people are learning. The weak people are going, well, that must lucky to be you, right? Luck has nothing to do with it. Hard work has a lot to do with it. I'd already established several income streams. Okay? I'd already started writing my books. I was making more money on my books than I was at the job. They didn't know that, but I was. We had several other businesses they knew nothing about. See, we had already established redundancies in our financial situation. As a result, we weren't at the mercy of what somebody else did, or the global depression, or anything else. Now, when a lot of people were suffering and they shut everything down, do you know that our businesses didn't suffer at all? They actually grew. There are reasons for that. I'm not going to get into the reasons here. This isn't a business lesson, but you can learn that. And maybe I'll do one over, well, I've already done it. I've done it over on the Prepping for Prosperity. And you know what? When I talk about how to do these things, do you know, it's amazing to me. Now, I get a lot of people say, thank you so much. Thank you for helping me. That's inspiring. I'm going to do this, blah, blah. And that's great. Those you guys are the people I do these things for. But then I also get other complaints about, well, I don't see how you can do that. Well, how did you do that? Well, how did you do that? Well, how did you do? Those are the failures, guys. Those are the people who want to come on to a YouTube or go to the news or whatever, and they actively look for places that will tell them bad news. And you know what? Those people aren't preppers. They're certainly not PMPs or preparedness-minded people, but they're not even preppers. They are just people who want to wallow in their existing failure and feel better about it because somebody else is telling them other people are experiencing this too and it's not your fault. Well, you've heard me say before, if you've been with me before, that in America you have to try to fail. You have to be determined in order to fail. You have to be determined to fail. Because whatever your situation is, it's the result of the decisions you've made and the work that you either have or have not put into it. So I tell you what, this it just angers me. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Anger. It disgusts me. Let me put it that way, because I don't take it personally. It's not against me. Why should I be angry about it, right? It disgusts me to see these constant messages being put out there to people, and people lapping them up, that hard times are ahead, bad times are coming. with the message being there's not anything you can do about it. You better learn to live with less. You better learn to save. You'd better learn to, well, how about you learn to do better? How about you learn to do what preppers always claim that they can do or want to do, and that is be self-sufficient. Oh, does that sound like a good idea? It does to all of you good folks. I know. I know. To all the preparedness-minded people, it does. For all the ones who just like to splash around the surface of so-called prepperdom, no, it just doesn't sound, because they are emotionally invested in their own hard times. And it's so much easier to complain about things being bad than it is to get up off your butt and make things better, right? So for the people who invariably come on here and say, you didn't tell us anything, you yabbered for however many minutes and you didn't tell us anything. And what they mean is, well, I didn't tell them how many pounds of rice and beans they should stock up, or I didn't teach them a new way to start a fire, or I didn't talk about guns or something like that. Yeah, I talked about the most important thing. The most important thing in preparedness, and that is self-reliance. You are responsible. You, right there, see you? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the guy hiding behind you, peeking up over your shoulder and going, me? Yeah, you. You're responsible for your life, not me. Not your neighbors, not some other YouTube channel. You are. And when your whole world goes to pot and your kids are suffering, are you going to feel better because other people are in that situation with you? Sadly, a lot of people will. Yes, I know. I know people. I know human nature. But that is a crying shame. You see, you, as the preparedness-minded person, are responsible for your own welfare and the welfare of everyone who depends on you. And then, if you want to go this and take this into a Christian route, you're responsible for anybody you can help. And you should increase your preparedness and your self-reliance and your resiliency to the point that you can help whoever comes your way. Good Samaritan, anyone? You know, that is the major lessons of my books. For anybody who may not know about this, how could you not? But there are many who still don't know. Believe it or not, there's so many. I wrote this series of books. It's called the Stonemont series. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, Hostages to Fortune, and the newest one, which is On Wings Like Eagles. And it's a story about a Earth-killing CME. All electricity gone. You know the story, right? Everything's down. 90% of the people going to die in the first 12 months. But it's a story of not of a family who is going, oh, hard times are coming. We'd better learn to eat with the pigs. No, it's the story of a family who, as a result of their own preparedness, and it doesn't take that much, I lay it all out here in a great story. You won't even realize that you're learning, but you will be learning a lot. As a result of their own preparedness, we're not only able to continue living well, but we're able to help other people too. And they were able to bring people in. They were able to help people who came to them. They were able to actually go out and bring people in, redeveloping community. It's a great book. But what it's all about is about people. And it's about responsibility, personal responsibility, and how proper preparedness can enable you to continue living a high-quality life after it. If you haven't read them, and you either just like a great story, or a post-apocalyptic type fiction, or if you just want to learn more than you can imagine about preparedness, because I've been at this a long time. I've been doing this stuff for 50 years, guys. This is not new to me. And that's why I wrote the books, because I just saw so much information out there was misleading people. You can get them a couple of ways. Amazon is one way. You can always get them through Amazon. That link's down below. You can get them in paperback, Kindle, or Audible. Or you can get them directly from me, and I love it when you do that. The reason being, I get to sign them for you. And then I get to write a little note in there for you. And we give you a discount when you order them as a set, and you can't get them as a set through Amazon. But we give you a discount because when we ship them like that, we save money on the package and handling and shipping and things like that. So we pass that on to you. But then we also throw in the Stonemont notebook, and you'll use this more than you think. I'll read you a message on the front of this, and maybe one on the back. Oh, excuse me. Oh, let me struggle to get my readers on here. Okay. And the one on the front, down there, you might be able to see it. One of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs 16:3. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. That means commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. Did that say, bad times are coming, depression's coming, better watch out? No, it says commit your works to the Lord. And that means, first off, you look to him to say, Lord, guide me in what I'm doing. And on the back right there, right down there, it says, except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. That's Psalm 127:1. And that means if you don't have the Lord in your work, you can work yourself to death. And things are just not going to work out like they would if you included him and followed him. Simple as that. So guys, the lesson in this, the danger of global depression is the danger it poses to you and your mentality, the danger to your mental and emotional depression. If the whole world is in depression, you don't have to be. And that means financial or otherwise. Okay? You don't have to be. So get off of this hog, that keeps telling you that times are tough, bad times are coming. Okay, it very well might be for them. I don't doubt it. It probably is coming for them because they have that mindset. But like pretty much everything in your life, it starts with mindset. And if you have a mindset that says you're poor and you're going to be poor and times are going to get harder, guess what? You're going to get your wish. But if you have a mindset that said, I don't care what's happening in the world, I'm gonna pull up my pants and get to work. I had a guy who used to work for me that said he was a real old rough old cop guy, and he said, well, sometimes you just gotta put down your purse and get to work. That was a great saying. He used to say that to some of the. I had some other people that would occasionally work for me. They didn't last long, but they weren't as hard a worker as the rest of us. And that's what he'd say: is he'd walk by, put down your purse and get to work. Put down your purse and get to work. Don't follow along. Don't believe these people who want to scare you every day. Get up every day with joy in your heart. You know that one of my favorite verses from the Bible is, this is the day the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. It's your choice. You can either get up and go, oh, things are bad. Oh, let me find a channel that will tell me all about how bad things are going to be. Or you can get up, say, God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the abilities you've given me, the talents you've given me, the energy you've given me, the positive mindset that you've given me, the help you've given me, and guide me in this day. And I can't wait to get out there and get at it. All right? All right. Hey, you all have a good day. Remember the books. Order you some right down below. You'll love them. You'll get a lot out of them. It will knock any negativity you might have wandering around in your brain. It'll knock all that negativity right out of you. And it will set you on a new path of preparedness. I promise you that. So have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And Don't let these negative ninnies get you down. They just want you down where they are. You don't want to be there. Get up, get where you want to be. And I'll talk to you later.